Okay, today I'm going to show you some basics of coloring with Photoshop. I'll also show you a few basic restoration techniques. Um, I'm still kind of new at Photoshop myself, so I'm going to show you how I use Photoshop with the things I learned. I had a lot of trouble really trying to figure Photoshop out when I started. The first thing I did was I went up here and pushed open and found the file that I wanted to color. So I'm actually going to zoom in on this because I really want a good look at it. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to Image and Adjustments. And where it says black and white, I'm going to click it. This is going to convert everything to black and white so that you don't have any colored spots. Even where there are spots, you can still see them, but they're no longer colored. And the next thing I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start restoring and cleaning this photo up so that it's ready to actually be colored. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go over here. If I hold down, when I click on this, if I hold it down, it's actually going to pull up a side menu here that's actually going to help me clean some of this up. We have a spot healing brush, which will just take the spots out like this. Very quick, very precise. And you can just kind of clean it up. There's some places, like right there, you notice that it didn't clean it real well. We don't want to obscure her features any. Oh, that's bad. So we're going to go up here. If we make a mistake, we'll go up and push step backwards. I probably need to make my brush size a little bit smaller there to do that one. This is just basic cleanup here. Let me go ahead and make this a little smaller. Should help. Get some of this up. Okay. Make it a little bit smaller. Like I said, you're gonna have to play with your brush size a little bit because it will pull from other places. Just trying to blend these. So already this is looking a lot better, a lot smoother. But I'm going to actually show you a little bit of a different tool here. The spot healing brush is nice, and it will help you clean up. But you see these cracks here? I could go over these. There's also another way to actually clean these up. So what I would do is I would go to the spot healing brush, and I'm going to go down to the patch tool. So I really want to show you this feature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline this crease here. I'm just going to pull up a little bit so it pulls from a different place. Like I said, I'm still learning on this one myself, but I figured this may help you. In some places, this feature is really handy. When you start getting close to the edges and stuff, it sometimes leaves these black marks, but it'll blend with things around it, like this. Actually, just took that right out. It's because it's pulling from the areas around it. So you won't have any of the blurring that you will with some of the other tools that you use. It'll actually just blend it right in. Let's see, a little bit of a scratch or something here. Like I said, this is me just basically showing you how this program works, what it's good for, and everything. We got a little one crack here. And that just basically cleans it up some so that, yes, it will be ready to color. Photoshop has a little bit more extensive cleanup features. than say Pick Monkey. So if I'm doing some restorations or I got something that needs some major cleaning, I will generally do it in Photoshop. I grab that white there. And not in Pick Monkey. I have an easier time doing it here. I'm going to actually go back and undo that. Step backwards. And step backwards. Step backwards. And step backwards. There we go. I'm actually going to go back over and do it like this. I mean, some of this is not major. It's just some things that I like to get cleaned up. I like to start with a really pretty image. You don't always have that option. And you can even drag it to help kind of clean up some of that. Alright. The next thing I would suggest is going to image, adjustments, and I like to adjust the brightness and the contrast just to kind of see, because I want my colors to take well. And I kind of like it there. So after I've adjusted my image and got it to really, or if you start with a good image so you don't have this problem, when you get it ready to color, let me zoom back out now. So, or you feel that you don't have any issues that need to be corrected, which you can always go back and correct them later, but it's really easier to start out with a pretty image. So now that we're done, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to layer. We're going to create a new layer. When this window pops up, for every layer you'll do just about, you're going to want to put it on soft light and push OK. Now you're ready to start coloring. There are several ways to start coloring on this. Basically with layers, what you want to do is everything needs to be a different layer. So her skin tone is going to be one layer, her eyes will be another, her lips will be another, hair color will be another. You may even have 2 or 3 layers for her skin color. Her dress is going to be a different one. Everything that's going to be an actual different color you want to put on a different layer. This keeps them separate so that if you turn out you don't like something, you can just delete the one layer. If you start putting more than one color on a layer and you try to erase something, you're going to erase into the wrong layer. So now we got our layer started. I color mine a little bit different. You can actually go here and pick the color you want and color it that way, but I found this is easier. I was getting a lot of the wrong shades or tints, and it was really frustrating for me. So this is how I do it. I use a kind of a hot pink color because it's real bright and I can see it very easily. And what I'll do is go to the brush tool first. There. And I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger. So I've got a lot of big areas in here, so I'm going to try to fill this up pretty fast. Like I said, this is just a quick coloring, but I kind of want to show you how it works. I'm going to go around this edge. And using such a bright color, it just really helps me to see, make sure I don't miss spots. It's real easy when you're using, a color so close to what the color the black is, or a purple or a dark blue or something like that. It's really easy to miss places. So you really are trying to avoid that. So I'm going to go ahead and come up here and get this. I'm putting the brush size down. And don't worry, it's not going to end up being this color. Like I said, it's just easiest for me to see. And now I'm going to take the brush size down again. I get this little hole right here. Okay. Now, we don't want it this color. We want it any other color but this color because this just doesn't look like it fits. So, with the next step, what we're going to do is I'm going to push Control and the letter U, and that's going to bring up this box. It's going to be your hue and your saturation box. If you click Colorize, you see where the colors are. That's actually where they'll be. So I can go through and I can adjust this to whatever shade. It gives me the ability to look at different shades at the same time before I really settle on one shade. So say I like it in a blue. I can turn the saturation up, make it very blue. I can turn it down, make it almost, navy blue. I can change the darkness, the brightness, and even go up here, make this appear almost even a light blue. It's just really what you think is going to look best. And I kind of like this color, but I don't like the saturation up so high. I'm going to actually take it down some. And I'm going to push OK, because I kind of like that. Alright, and then I'm actually going to come through. I see a few little places, not anything major, but somewhere in that white that I've come over a little bit. So, I'm going to start a new layer, because I'm done with that one. Start a new layer. Then we're going to go and we're going to push Soft Light. I'm going to push OK. And I'm going to take my brush size down a little bit. And I'm going to go in and I am going to do these buttons and intentionally skip them so they could be on a different layer. Again, I'm going to press Control U. And I kind of like that, so I'm going to push OK. Again, I'm going to start a new layer. Soft Light. And these layers are numbered. You can actually, I think, rename these. I don't usually, but there's somewhere that you can rename these to give them names and stuff. I have no idea where it's at. I've run across it a few times, but don't ask me where it's at right now. I have no idea. So, the next thing I'm going to color is I'm actually going to start coloring her face. So, I'm a little bit bigger brush because, again, it's a little bit bigger area. A little bit bigger than that. I can always go in and take my brush back down. So, again, I'm still staying on the same pink. I'm going to go up into her hairline a little bit because we don't want a gap in between her hair and her skin color. If it's too much, I can always go back and take that down some or erase around it. But we don't want to have to go in and try to fill that in after the fact. So. Let me get that ear. Just there. Okay. Then I'm going to go back down on my brush size. And if you'll notice, I'm avoiding those eyes. I don't want, and her teeth, I don't want to get those on her eyes and teeth, but I do want to get very close to her lips. It's even okay to go over the lips a little bit. Okay. And it looks like we got everything covered pretty well. That ear, I'm going to actually come off of this because I see it's a little bit too much into her hair here. So then again, I'm going to press Control U. Click color. You can do it without clicking colorize. You'll eventually remember where your tones are. But for beginners, I suggest putting colorize so that you can kind of look at the slider and tell where the color saturations are going to be. Oh no, I clicked on the wrong layer. Okay, well, since I clicked on the wrong layer, let me show you how to do this. I don't know what I was doing. I think I was showing you something. It's a good lesson. So anyways, I'm going to go up to my brush and I'm going to go back and erase this. But I want to stay off of her dress color because that's the same layer as her color. This is why we don't put colors on the same layer. Like that. Okay. And you have to be careful when you're switching layers. So let me go back. Let me go back to layer 3 and recolor her face right quick. It happens. It happens to me. I'm sure it happens to just about everybody that uses Photoshop. Once you've been using it a while, that doesn't happen as often. But when you're first learning how to use it and you haven't been using it for very long, you're gonna have that happen to you. So it's a good lesson. It teaches us what not to do. Again, I'm going to get real close to her lips, even going over them a little bit. Don't want any gaps, spaces, her ears. Okay, and Control U. And I said, you're hit colorize. I'm going to go down here. I want to have a little bit more saturation. And I kind of want her skin tone somewhere in between a brown and an orange. Maybe a little bit of a yellow. Maybe around there. Now push OK. Go in. Create a new layer. Let's try to stay on the same layer this time. Soft light. Press OK. I'm going to bring the zoom in a little bit now since I'm up on her face. I'm actually going to go down real quick. Go down to this layer. You see how it's over in her hair a little bit too much there? I'm going to clean that area up a little. See, I missed some of the pink here. Alright, and then I'm going to go back to the active layer. Alright, and we're going to get ready to color. So I'm going to go in and start coloring her hair. Take my brush size down and get these little edges. Okay. Control U. Colorize. I kind of think that needs to be about there. And that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go in, create a new layer. Soft light. That's okay. I kind of want to go in and do another facial layer. It's soft and I like it, but let me go back out and look at my screen. She just really doesn't look like she has a lot of color to me. So I'm going to go in, and this may or may not work very well. I'm going to go in and actually add another layer of color to her face. Just to try, and you can adjust these layers in different ways, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute because I'll probably have to do that on her face. And you'll find that some people that have been using Photoshop for a long time, especially the ones that are very good at it, some of them will even have, 7 or 8 layers of color on their face just to give them a more realistic tone. I have not perfected that yet. But, like I said, I will show you what I know. Beth is really good at answering questions with Photoshop. She really assisted me a lot when I first started trying to learn Photoshop. I had a hard time at first, and then after she started helping me, it kind of seemed to fit. She could explain it to me where I could understand. So if there's something here that you are not understanding, I may be able to help you with it, but Beth is really the person to ask about this. Okay. Control U. And I kind of like her skin color about there. Maybe a little bit too orange. Maybe need to saturate. There we go. That's a little better. She's got a little more skin color now. It kind of brings her face out better. It kind of blends with the rest of the picture. So again, I'm going to go in, create a new layer, do soft light. Now I'm going to zoom in and do these facial features. And I'm going to start with her eyes. Okay. I'm going to take my brush down some. I still want that a little bit more. Okay. And I'm going to do her eyes kind of a hazel color. So you can see where her iris is. I'm going to go kind of around her iris. Even a little bit over her iris. I'm going to push Control U. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a brown tint. And I'm going to turn the saturation down a lot. Because we don't want that to really show through a lot. So like I said, we're doing a kind of a hazel eyes. I'm going to start a new layer. On soft light. And again, I'm going to go in and I'm going to color the entire outer part of her eye. I won't cover up all the brown. It's going to show through a little bit, but I want to color all of it. Okay, then press Control U again. And I want to kind of give it a green shade this time. So that you see, if you lighten it, you can see that brown through there, and that was my goal, just to kind of give her kind of a hazily eye. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look with the waterline. We're going to go again to the new layer, do soft light, and let me take my brush down even further. That needs to go down a little bit more. That's good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start. We all kind of have this waterline here. And it reaches all the way to the corner of our eye. And not all the times you will be able to see all of it. But what I kind of do is I like to do all of it. And then I may go in that way down and erase some of this. Because you don't want it to sit over the eye. It's not going to sit over the eye. And you want it, it's just a very fine, delicate line. Sometimes it's hard to get it as small as you want it. Okay. Then we're going to go in. We're going to push Control U again. This is going to be kind of a pinkish, purplish color. So, actually, if you do that, that's about right where it needs to be. And then lighten it a little bit. Press OK. I'm going to zoom out now. Push it on screen. You really can't see it when you get down there, but if you start zooming in, you'll be able to see it. But you don't want it to just stand out at you either. So, with that being said, we'll go back in. And we're going to do her lips now. New layer, soft light. Okay. And my brush is still pretty small, so maybe too small for her lips. Yeah, it's a little too small for her lips. I'm going to go and push my brush up a little bit more. Too big. Alright, so I'll go in, and you can see where her lip line is. And we'll go back and clean this up some. We don't want it to look like a mess. And clean it off her teeth. Nobody wants lipstick on their teeth. Not even lipstick, just lip color. Let's not do that. And we're just going to kind of refine these edges some. Okay. And what we're looking for is, she's fairly young, so she's probably not wearing makeup, so we want a real natural look. So we're going to push Control U. We're going to go in. You want it kind of more to the red. The more saturation you get, the brighter it's going to be. The more lightness and darkness, the darker it's going to be. So I want a little, she's still fairly young, like I said, so I want a little bit of a pink shade here. Nothing real dark. And we're going to push OK. Alright. The next thing we're going to do is going to be like blush or cheek color, because you want to give her that warm appeal that, you know, gives her a lively look. I'm going to go in over here. Alright, and I'm actually going to take my brush size up quite a bit for this, because I kind of want it to fit over the cheek, the apple of the cheek. Maybe not that so much, because it won't fit over both. So maybe about there. Okay? So what I'm going to do is, and then I'm going to clean it up, because my brush is way too big. A lot bigger than I expected it to be, because we don't want it over our ear. But that's partially from, we don't want it up by our eye. And I want it mainly on the apples of her cheeks and on up. So I'm going to push Control U. Again, I'm going to go to a very kind of a softer color. I'm going to take the darkness, and then I'm going to take the saturation down so it looks kind of normal. And let's zoom out and have a look. Alright, and last but not least, I'm going to go in and do something with this background here, because it still looks black and white. We want everything under picture to be colored. So I'm going to go in and do another layer. Do it in a soft light. I'm going to do a bigger brush because we're doing the background. We can always clean up the edges. I'm going to go in and color this. I'm not too worried about getting her hair, because I can always come back and clean up certain things on each layer. Or if I don't like it, I can always delete the layer and start over. Just complete a different one. Okay, so we've got all the background colored. Let me go ahead and clean these up some. We don't want to color her dress again, her face, or her hair. I'm just going to go to the edges and make sure I got this all taken off. A little bit there. Okay. I think I've got it all, for the most part, taken off. I'm push Control U. And like I said, then I can go through and place the colors, saturation, intensity. And I can just kind of scroll through and see which colors that I find suit her best. Or suit this picture best, should I say. I think something along the lines of a light blue really kind of brings her out. So I'm going to push OK. And then I'm going to go ahead and crop this image so that it's down And we don't have, because sometimes you'll get that overflow on the edges. I do that quite a bit. So if there's white around it, I don't know how this got here. It's probably there on the original. But I'm going to go ahead and crop that out so my picture looks nice and clean. Okay. When I get done deciding where I want this crop, which I've decided I kind of like it there, I'm going to go up here and hit this check mark, and it's going to say delete crop pixels. And there you go. So this is our image. I always suggest that you save it in two ways. One way being that you save it as a PSD file so that you can, let me show you. So you can pull the image back up and adjust your layers if someone should ask. And then I always save it as a JPEG. So it'll be a PSD here, and go to where I keep my files. So I'd save it as a PSD here. Click OK. And then I'm also going to go in and save it as JPEG right here, and I will push save. And that way I can pull it back up and do other things to it if I decide to later. So this is my quick video on Photoshop. If you have any questions, just let me know, but this should be able to get you started. One more thing before I close. Say, for instance, her blue dress. If you thought it was a little bit too dark, you could also go over here to opacity, and you could go down on that, and it's going to lighten that up, just like it did on the saturation. You can actually do it manually through the opacity right here. Anyways, that is my video on Photoshop. If you have any questions, please just let me know, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Thank you.